Yeah, how'd that go?
Um,
Kyle Dolan.
the jury is still in deliberation, and it's held over until 1:30 tomorrow, is what the judge just told me. The judge was really cool. You know, we were kind of making fun of the state's arguments just now.
Wow, that's interesting.
Jones or something. He's got a white mustache.
Making fun of the state's argument with a jury, with a judge in the middle of a trial. Go figure. Are you tweeting out that we're recording? Nice. 99. Bud Moke Xer.
Over the line, sweet Jesus.
Emoticon.
Sitting downtown in a railway
Mary,
station.
you was not lying. That thing chews this battery up. Bam.
Yep.
It only gives me an hour.
Which is why we're going to get you charging as soon as you get that tweeted. Okay.
No, 1:30. I talked to the judge just now.
Oh.
The judge went by and I asked him.
Okay.
So apparently he kicked ass. Kyle's
Oh,
attorney
I told
is
you.
doing great.
Oh, they still in deliberation.
So, do you have that power
Hung
switch?
jury, hung jury means a retrial? What does that mean, hung jury? It means everything's dropped.
Yeah.
No. No.
It's done,
Yeah.
Kyle?
What does hung jury mean?
Hung jury means there can be a retrial.
But 9 times out of 10, they will not
Hey,
retry
Colonel.
it because of the cost that it took to do the first trial. Had two
Sure.
of those.
But there's no guarantee that it's dropped.
They might take him in the jury room and threaten him.
That's right. Okay, people, right now, Vigil.
What's the accusations of his case?
Later, hot stuff.
Right on.
What's the alleged
Okay, we're
Nice
gonna
dress.
we're gonna get some more material for live stream and so forth.
He wears nice dresses.
Yeah, he does. Well, he's got a necklace on today. He's really decked out.
You get him on camera?
I did.
Okay.
I don't know if I got the full. I
Well,
should
there
have.
wasn't much there.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't care about like what happened in Gladstone, but I mean, most certainly this officer's ethic and his demeanor and his negligence to abide by his own bureau's policies and procedures is what escalated my conduct that day. I mean, I'm guilty of disorderly conduct, but
Well-
he is as well by pulling over, turning without signaling, and parking on the public sidewalk. It's obstructing the pedestrian path. It's
Well-
disorderly conduct, second degree. We're both guilty of it.
So Jeffrey, the
I'm talking about
police
the other crimes
discrimination
committed that
and
day.
harassment, police discrimination and harassment is a major part of what's
Yeah,
you know,
I'm talking
fueling
about
us
this
here.
officer's
But we
what
aren't going to be, you know, focused on
no, we're not
individual
focused on that.
stuff outside of here for the meeting. So we should probably.
Okay, I'll just
Well,
this has been going on.
I
about
think
it.
we
You just
we need to
let it
talk
go.
after the meeting because that's bullshit. What's been happening to you?
I need
And you're-
to try to go to Gladstone and get. I say I
Yeah.
want to have consultation before I'm arraigned. Oh no, you can after
Yeah.
you're arraigned you can apply for.
Yeah,
40
they've been
Bullshit.
targeting him and doing a lot of stuff that they shouldn't. So we're going to talk about that after the meeting because you're family.
Hey, boys,
So-
So let's let's go back
Tommy.
to what we're talking
To
about.
kinda-
Without digging on your foot. She's
Okay, can we have your attention? We're running through the agenda. Anybody?
All right, so if we can just talk about our agenda here. Anybody have anything they want to put for us to talk about that needs to be talked about as a strategy issue? I have an issue. What I want to call it is signage discipline. What I mean by that is that the signs that are out here need to relate to what's going on out here. And every time that the message gets crazy, and if a sign is just confusing or whatever, it doesn't help what's going on here. And we just need to recognize that and try to work toward signs that are to the point and make sense. And if, you know, it's all right to stay together in safety, solve problems, not symptoms. That sign is perfectly right on the money. But sometimes there's signs out here that aren't. So that's what I'm going to propose for us to talk about. Anybody got anything else they want to put?
Basic stuff that has to be kept going 24/7. I'd like to talk about that because that's part of strategy.
and get a
Operations,
get a
materials.
I'd just like to throw on that, you know, I don't agree
sign I see, but we're adults, and the kids don't understand anything. No, I mean, maybe. And but we're adults, and we can be influenced one way or another. They seem ridiculous, and well,
Don't
I
read
kind of
them.
think that I kind of agree with not the I've heard the policeman say every morning. You can well, I've heard it said. I don't want to quote that, but that one sign or something. Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, you can sit down and have a sign leaning in each direction. Plus
That's
hold the
another
sign.
agenda item right
I
there.
think that you should.
What is another?
I think that you
The
should be
cops'
very near your own
claims that have
sign.
been false.
And
What he
that
just said about
way,
you can only have one
people
sign.
know who's doing the speaking, and they know
Okay,
who
so
to go. They know who to go up.
Joe,
to
we're doing
to
agenda items too.
discuss
So
what
this
the
is
sign
let's set this as something to talk about. Let's not talk
We're
about
doing
it yet.
agenda items, listing
What are
them.
we talking about?
Yeah.
What is it that you're proposing to talk about?
Oh,
So that we all know what
He
the
mentioned two
discussion-
things. One of them was a comment on our first agenda
Okay,
item,
but
which
that's
will
not-
will wait. The
So what's-
second one
okay.
was
I didn't.
disagreeing with cops who are making these claims, talking back to that. They tried to tell us we can only have one
Never
sign,
mind.
shit like that.
No, this is
Okay, later.
but we need to know what the
Okay.
issue that you want to talk about.
Yeah, you're.
You know,
Never mind.
No, no.
There's more
No,
coming.
later.
So
I don't know about that.
Does those people know that we're having a meeting over here?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Somebody go tell him?
Well,
No, yeah, he come on over.
No, Nameless knew.
Everybody's
and he
been
went
told
back
over there. Hey,
Okay.
99. They don't care.
All right, there it is then.
Come on.
That should be something to talk about also.
okay, so what is the issue that you want to discuss?
Well, I'm not.
You said something about police.
No, never mind.
No.
I'll bring
Okay,
Joe,
hey,
Joe,
this is a
keep what you're
protest,
talking about.
and any sign is an appropriate sign as
Keep your
long as it
money, Joe.
doesn't have a derogatory
Can we move
remark on
into
it,
that
Setting an
or it
since we
doesn't
already
have
are,
anything
Jimmy?
offensive on it.
Hang on.
We can add agenda items.
No. Oh, we're just setting an agenda now, right?
Right, but if you have a subject that you want to talk about, such as what do we say to the cops when they say you can't have signs or whatever, then that's something.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I want to talk about that
If
we could,
Because
we've been doing that. That's my
So let's
agenda
just call
item.
it cops and signs.
Well, cops
Just limit it
and
to that. We have-
misquoting law. They're doing more than signs.
We're gonna limit us to signs, yeah.
Sidewalk
How many signs do we have?
laws,
Okay, but we have a
possession.
meeting and we can't
Right, we're
address everything. here. So
Talking
let's
back
deal
to
with
cops
that.
misquoting the law is a subject.
I mean, that's what the law does. It feed off people taking
Cops.
the law.
And the law.
Yep.
Okay.
We've got a major issue about the signs that we have. How many signs can we have?
I got all those right there.
Right.
So
Let's wait until we actually start talking about the subject matter.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything that they want us to
Okay,
talk
let me-
about that
let me-
they feel we need to talk about?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to the decommissioning school and try to get.
Well, I'd like
At
to
least
know-
set up a work group or something, right?
Somebody to look into it.
Yeah, we want to start the ball rolling.
Like out
on
on
that.
122nd, they got that great school out there. That's decommissioned.
Okay.
How
Well,
about
that's a great idea, but that doesn't really relate to the ending of the camping ban.
Ah, the vigil.
Okay.
So, it's good.
No, I was.
we're
Yeah,
not-
maybe
let's
after
just
the
talk
meeting.
about
After
the
the meeting,
vigil.
let's talk
for
about
the
that.
home at the end result is we're here and we're trying to get people off the streets into housing. And that's housing. You're
I'm
just
not
about
trying to
housing?
disagree with you, but the vigil is here to end the camping ban.
I've
It's
got
a very specific thing that we're doing at the
Okay,
vigil.
okay.
So I want to let's just hone in on that one thing that we're doing, and because we have a lot to talk about with just
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
built one.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding. I'm not sure. I haven't really seen the laws. It's so hard to get the real deal. But my understanding that, if you sit down, that way you get a little
Absolutely.
more room than standing up, and cross your legs, and you can have your belongings 2 feet all the way around you. So that gives you pretty much a 6-foot
I can
square.
charge both of them.
Seems like a lot, but that's pretty much it. I mean, you set your pack to the right, you got 4 packs, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you get 6 feet. And
Oh wait,
what's,
no, I can't.
what determines, as long as you're not in anybody's way out here, what determines
Okay.
what you can be doing?
Okay, that's part
So-
of.
So that's an issue under cops and the law. Let's talk about this
One at a time.
right now we're talking about agenda items only, please.
And that one was
It's
part
not
of
time for
one.
discussion.
How many of them are you gonna make?
That was
However
it.
many we need.
So
Let's-
you're gonna confuse everybody if you go with 4 or more. Just
Yeah, I
talk
think
about
that's
the 2
enough.
you got.
Right now we got sign discipline, 24/7 basics, and cops and the law. Is
There it is.
anything
There it is.
else
Let's
that
go.
anybody feels we need to talk about today?
How about music?
One,
Why not?
There are some laws that I can look at.
Okay, let's put that under the second item.
three guys.
Why not?
24/7 basics.
Basics.
You guys
Right.
talking about agendas.
We'll put that on there in 99. We'll talk about that in the second item. Okay, first item.
All right. So of those 3, where do we need to start?
Threw me off on that.
Can we start with number 3? 'Cause
Cops and the law.
Barry,
We had
him in
cops.
line.
All right, cops and the law. Regarding cops and the law, we need to know where we stand regarding belongings. What else are have we ended up with anything printed up that people can have as a handbook of the law yet?
I'm curious.
The colonel, I just gave the colonel the information I had, and he said he's gonna work on it Monday. And the idea is to get information out to everybody so they understand just what the parameters of the laws are, and explain where you can sit, where you can't sit, what the laws are for people passing by and that sort of thing. So the colonel and I
Okay.
are gonna work on that and get information out to everybody.
I kind of
Okay.
I'm curious about like as far as your rights between. I mean, they have so many. They have downtown clean and safe. They have corps of patrol that are on bicycles and their uniforms look the same. And then, I mean, what are your rights as far as being with the parks rangers? I mean, who do you deal with if you're in a certain situation?
Okay, so I got.
Hey, back up.
Officer,
Let me back
who do you
up.
deal with parks and recreation?
We're talking about cops and the law.
Yeah.
We're touching.
Oh, yeah,
We're gonna touch on
same
belongings,
subject.
the handbook of the law, and the different enforcers.
Yeah.
Is there anything else under this category that we want to talk about right now?
Yeah, the pedestrian use zone, which contains all of those pieces of information. Not blocking cars, people's access is something else outside of the pedestrian use zone. So we got 2 categories. We got just the pedestrian use zone, and we got the area that you're in, Jimmy. And they're challenging us on both. We're winning in this thing, but we got some gray areas on the cars, getting in and out of cars. But as far as your belongings, structures, having to have things between 2 feet away from you, not having it more than 2 hours, not having all these signs out, all that's BS unless it's in the pedestrian use zone according to 14A.50.030. Swear to God. So I've been lying out here pushing them in the morning when I'm here, and they have lost. The only one that they are standing up to me is cars getting in, and it does specifically say block. I am not blocking.
Okay, so we got 2 zones, the different enforcers, the handbook of the law, and belongings. So under the category of cops and law, is there anything else we need to talk about right now? Anybody got anything else? Okay, so Mary is saying that we've got 2 different zones to work in. Can you explain that quickly and concisely?
Yes. That's the frontage line where the curb is. This is
That's the frontage line. The buildings are the frontage line.
It is not.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Okay, the frontage line or not, the curb.
Right.
The zone that is required closest to City Hall or the property, which is 8 feet, which is approximately right to there. That's like 8.5 according to 99 feet. And then the rest of it is outside the pedestrian use zone, and that is the wording on 14A.30 or 50.030. And that's really important because when you look at it, everything that they're talking about is in that zone. Everything else is not even discussed, because there is no limitation on personal property having to be within 2 feet
In this area.
in that area.
So we're talking about, what is this zone called?
The outside the pedestrian use zone.
that's its
Honestly,
title?
yes.
So this is outside the zone, this is inside the zone.
Right.
Shorthand.
But you know what they told us in Northwest? You can get a wheelchair down the sidewalk, the sidewalk's open.
And that's what the police tell us too.
That's
Same
what they're
sort of
saying.
thing.
Really?
Over there.
Absolutely.
As long
Are
as
you-
you can get
are
a
you able to be
wheelchair
on camera,
down,
by the way?
you're cool.
No, honey, I'm
Here,
Okay.
I'm on a
your
99
abusers
Okay,
here.
make sure to.
Mary, your abusers here. Because in Northwest, we're sleeping over on the sidewalk. As long as you can get a wheelchair down the sidewalk, you're good.
Well, I think that's a
Um,
valid point, but
well,
let's remember
are
that
you
we're
guys
also
saying
appealing
that
to the
you
public,
couldn't
and the
get
public
wheelchair down the
complains.
sidewalk?
No, I'm saying if you can get a wheelchair down the sidewalk,
Right.
the rest of the sidewalk's yours.
But let me.
Ours to use.
But let's understand
As long
something
as you
here,
get
though.
the wheelchair.
Let's understand something here. Anytime they want to, they can go down there and they can change that, as long as they're within the guidelines of.
But for some reason they're not.
Right. But
Okay.
that's
They-
not.
they-
That's not.
they
I'm
are.
sorry.
They use nuisance.
Okay,
They
that
challenge
brings-
Mary with nuisance. And
that
they
brings
challenge
another
Mary.
But we need to understand what the law says, not what's going on,
Okay.
because it's when they step beyond the law that we have to.
Someone's got to go to legal
Check
and read it.
Okay, but
We
we
have to
do
check.
need to keep track of every time they say, that's okay, you're fine, this is fine, because we need to be able to bring that back to their attention. Hey, just yesterday you said this was fine. And I think we need to just keep telling them what they say. I mean, they are playing games here, but as far as what we can legally do, the only thing protected that I know of is the outside the pedestrian use zone.
Okay.
And that we can have structures, even actual structure. It also says, I mean, there's rules in the camping ban that are also things that we can exploit, we haven't even talked about, if they're in this zone.
Oh,
But
they're-
the cop was telling me that he could declare it a nuisance, that he could put me in jail for disorderly conduct because he asked me nicely to pick up my sign and moved it, and I didn't, because it wasn't his legal lawful order to do so. And they also tried to say that anything could be called a nuisance. This is the because I said so law that doesn't exist in court. And here's where nuisance comes in. Line L of that 14A.50.030 does say that if we break that code 14A.50.030, then they can declare something a nuisance and haul it off. But if we're in compliance with the law, which we are if we're in that area, they can't just call everything a nuisance. So the only thing remaining on that one is opening the door. When a car tries to open the door, if they can't, that's a problem. But we are allowed to be there. The only problem is if we block. And the rule about what it means to block means they cannot get around, and we have the intent of blocking. So when they say, oh, you're kind of in the way, that's not blocking, that's not against that ordinance.
Right, but you try to move for them.
But we do, and we told them, and 99 told them, hey, don't insult me by thinking I'm rude to pedestrians and cars. I am not.
Well, sure, we take it as it comes. If
Yeah.
people
Here's
need
the
to get
clear
through, we
blind.
make
Yeah.
we make
Here's
a
the
hole.
front end.
Oh, you're right, Jack.
That-
It's okay, but if you
All right.
want to tell them that, how
Yeah.
it's laid out,
Okay, here it is. Jack's right. Curb
it
line.
doesn't matter.
Well, I know. It's, I want it to be. Okay,
Well, then
here's the
make it-
curb line at the top, and that is obviously the curb, and then the frontage line.
Is the building or the...
Okay, so
Okay.
here's that diagram. We'll look at it after the meeting.
So we're going to run off
All right.
copies of this for
Let
everyone.
me.
And 14A,
Which one?
So let's recap here
Okay, I
real
got
quick.
that.
Oh, he's got that.
and lightning spin.
Yep. I'm just going to recap, and I'm going to go to lightning. So at this point, we're talking about the fact that we've got this zone right here. Essentially, is where we are really fighting the battle, because this is the space that we have allowed to us. We can't let them encroach on it. We have to understand what our limitations are in this space in the first place. We have to understand what the law says in this space. This is kind of the crucial space right here. And it's having intent to block. That's important. But then remember about the nuisance. Anytime a cop decides that you're a nuisance, apparently the law as far as we understand right now, says they can do whatever they want.
Not.
Right.
That's what I just said. Not.
A
Nuisance. Nuisance is if we are breaking that ordinance, which is in this zone we are not. Only if we are breaking that ordinance can they declare it a nuisance, because subsection L of that law says clearly, if you break this law and you have possessions here, the cop can abate the nuisance.
So that's outside the zone.
Correct.
You're outside the
So when he
zone.
tried to tell me that his catch-all law, his because I said so law was nuisance, just like disorderly conduct or interfering with a peace officer, those are not held up in court, so we cannot give in.
Okay, so the nuisance might be bullshit, but we.
Yeah, it is.
Right. But remember, this is not legal advice here.
Right.
And if you decide to challenge this, you're kind of on your own at this point until we actually fight this battle.
But I did tell him that, and he backed off.
Okay. One of the issues that I've had out here is absolutely they consider this a moving zone. This is kind of an area that we can do a lot of things with. But this is where we run into the problems here. First of all, I agree from a previous meeting you brought up, always diffuse the situation. A lot of these cops really don't understand what the true law is. We get into their face and we start escalating in a very angry manner, and we really don't know what the true laws are. It's not going to go anywhere. That's why, like talking with Jimmy, he's got a good attorney, we can get some actual laws established to where we have something in our hand and we can show the officer and say, this is provided from an attorney, and this is
Hey,
what
do you know
we're
that guy?
following. Now,
Is that your friend? Do you know him?
in the event,
Hi.
oh, okay, that's his.
How are you? It is? Great. I'm just watching out for people. Thank you. Yeah.
Anyway, that way we have a little bit of a position to stand on. You know,
So that goes back to the handbook.
exactly.
So
And we have to have that if we're going to make a real stand. We have to have that, and we have to have the actual law stated from the attorney on what our rights are, and not escalate the situation, especially when the officer doesn't even know what the true law is. And I stated that to the officer, and he said that's true. There's a gray area here. It's very vague. But he said, I'm being instructed to do certain things, and you need to understand that. And I said, we're going to talk to an attorney and get back to you on that with what the true law is, and we're willing to try to work with you, but we need to know what the true law is. And that's all I'm saying, because otherwise it just escalates. He doesn't really know, we don't really know, where does it stand? It's very vague.
I know now.
Oh no, we gotta have somebody go to the library and study.
Well, no, Jimmy's got an attorney that can.
No. My attorney's not doing anything with the vigil.
Well,
The
anyway,
sidewalk laws.
No.
between
no.
Mary,
No.
We do have
Very-
Stu
We've got to go.
Friday.
But
We
we've got to
don't-
go on our own.
we don't need no attorney. Between Mary and Barry, I saw it. They had those officers backpedaling. So
Right, but we all need to have that.
Yeah, that's
Well-
not gonna.
And if we can get a handbook together, and everybody can get it, at least we'll know, and we can show them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a. Okay, so what are the steps that need to be taken for a handbook? First of all, if we have 14A.50.030, that's really short. That's 2 pages long.
We gotta have somebody go to the library.
I don't have a
and-
printer.
And research.
Yeah,
Print them off at the library.
or we can
Okay,
go to
let's
the
print it
office
off at
and
the
print
library.
that stuff off.
We can print it at the office. Might as well put the office.
I'm actually going
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Spokes tonight, and I can print at least a few copies of that right there. So we'll have them tonight.
But let's make sure that when we do this, that we're getting everything that relates to what's going on out here.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want any misinformation thrown in to confuse anybody.
Well, we
need
want
direct
point
information.
2.020, .030, and one other.
There's more there, and you need to go look. There's I forget what it's called, but there's a category over on the right, and it says something very similar words to public nuisance, but it's just some catch-all crap.
Okay, let's look at the catch-all crap
But
for
you're gonna
sure.
have, some of that's we're gonna need that in there so that if they try pulling that out, we can say,
Yeah, do
actually,
you know-
it says this.
That nuisance law, if there is such a thing, that gives them that extra authority, we have to
that's what
challenge
I
it.
mean. Yeah.
it applies to certain.
That your feet though.
Sure,
I
it
mean,
applies. It applies when the
It
police
can be
officer
whatever.
decides up the situation. He either applies it or he doesn't. You know, he takes it as it comes, kind of like we do with the sidewalk thing. We take it as it comes. You know, it's just the situation. Either it dictates or it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right, and but a lot of it, since we're dealing with some real gray area here, which I think it was intentionally made gray. It's up to his interpretation, and if we can get him to understand that we understand the law better than they do,
Absolutely.
that's going to give us a leg up.
Well, it's a kangaroo court.
Those-
I mean, these officers go along and they apply certain laws that are written as fail safes, and they apply it even if it applies or not.
Right.
You understand? Just so they can win specifically in a court of law. And who fails? Us 99 percenters. This has got to stop.
Those
We
boxes
gotta hold
are the
these
same
police accountable
situation.
for their actions. Sorry.
And that
public
bike.
defender. I mean, you get a public defender that wants to sell you the prosecution instead of help defend you.
And we gotta make sure we print every piece of information in that little pamphlet.
Sorry, brother. Eric Saints are trying to
So,
Hey, we like
Are
what
we,
you said,
are we
man.
done with this one?
Yeah,
Or
you
not?
said what
is there anything else we need to talk about the handbook? We all understand it's a great idea, and if we can get that out here, Jack?
As I understand it, it's something that the colonel's gonna start working on Monday, and I've offered to work with him on that. So anyone else who might want to do that certainly would appreciate the help.
It'll certainly put us all on the same
Are you
page. And
talking
like you
about the
say, it'll
handbook?
hold the police
Yeah.
accountable for
Beautiful.
exactly what they're trying to tell us. Well, no, officer, I believe you're mistaken.
Do everybody know what they're looking for? We're not just gonna put anything on a piece of paper.
Right.
There's the two issues, which was the sidewalk ordinance and then the nuisance.
What about the camping ban?
Yeah,
Does
we
it
We're
not-
not camping.
It
We're
doesn't
sleeping.
doesn't
That's
come into
not
play.
even our fight.
Okay.
If they want to end a camping ban, or if they want to continue a camping ban, then let's incorporate new words and turn this in on them. We're not camping. We're sleeping here. This is reality right here.
I think one thing that was demonstrated by the colonel's trial is that the laws are written in a vague, the ordinance is written in a vague way for the very reason that they can apply it any way they want. And the only way that it can be overturned is in the courts. And when that happens enough, then they'll change them realistically. But right now, even though he won in court, it doesn't change how the
Right,
police interact.
it doesn't change nothing, because this is how they see it.
Right.
If you're sleeping outside, well, if you're outside under the sky, you're camping. Okay, you don't get no bigger than that. So,
I mean, it's not part of this agenda, but Jimmy mentioned at an earlier meeting that the police could play a big role in turning this around by saying, we're not going to do this anymore. I mean, they're in a position of enforcing laws that are vague and almost unenforceable in some ways. But
The badge makes them enforceable.
exactly.
Well, it's also true that
Come on, folks.
Jump, you usually say
Yeah.
hi.
Hey, heads up.
Whether you're,
Thank you. Thank you.
whatever you're doing.
this is the wiki spaces. It's linked to on the homepage of Occupy through the Vigil button. The wiki spaces, in addition to having a sign-up sheet, also has a document called it's 001. And that is these laws. All the links to whether you can videotape a police officer, the sidewalk ordinance, the camping ordinance, some other
the
things.
thing about it, Jack, is,
So that'll
there's
help
some
you.
officers out there that are, they're about
Anybody
their
want
job.
one of these
and
cars to check out the
there's
wiki
people out
spaces?
here that they're used to
I don't call
encountering.
Mary Rose, thank you.
And
Oh, you mean people being targeted, or?
some of those people fight back. They wrestle, and this is what the officers.
This is
their
where those
whole-
laws are.
They
One
come
of them.
into their job, put their uniform on.
Gotta do those, go to
and
the
they
library
say,
and
Yeah,
that
but these are
99, I
links
hope I
to
run into him today
those
because
statutes
he's
and
argumentative.
ordinances
He's
to
this
start.
close to I having to call back up.
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
can
yeah.
Tase him.
Couple
we can,
sets at the office.
I'm gonna do that before.
Whatever you think applies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So I don't think
I'm just
it
gonna-
has-
Rather than wait until we've gone through this.
Oh, sure.
Right.
I mean,
I
Yeah.
don't think it has
why couldn't they
anything
start
to do
a-
with
getting something.
Right. Yeah, we'll do that as an intermediary step. We'll have it at the vigil,
enough to provoke us.
hanging
My
up,
hands are dirty.
and I'll put a couple of copies stashed in there.
Somebody there with the
You're a blip
camera.
on the
So
radar.
somebody doesn't
The more
take it.
blips that you come up on
Okay.
the radar.
Okay.
Call into order
Well,
here.
no,
All
that's-
right, let's
this
get
is-
back to our agenda.
This is why they focus on us because we're defiant.
We got 2
Has
more
anybody
items.
anybody got anything else that we need to say about the handbook right now? We all understand that we're going to create a handbook that's going to contain the provisions related directly to this right here. Sounds like Colonel and Jack, and I don't know, maybe 99. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but maybe you guys are going to fashion something together that it'd be great if we had the ordinance and then sort of some explanation for the rest of us to read and understand, some kind of narrative there that's written in normal people's language that we can have something to work with. But in the meantime, Mary's offered to go ahead and print the statues up and then get them out here, a couple copies, handful,
Hopefully
whatever,
tonight.
so that we can at least have it in our hands, so that if it comes down to it, we can say, well, actually, it says this. And
Sure.
so we're conducting kind of a legal clinic here in ad hoc fashion. But does anybody got anything else we want to say about the handbooks at this point?
Well,
Perhaps we could even hand them to drivers who show up.
Sure.
What we come up with.
Any?
Well,
I think it's good to preface when we talk to a police officer that it's really important, officer, to me that we follow the law, which is why I'm taking great pains to follow every letter of this ordinance, which I am right now. And I think if we let them know that every time, it's less adversarial than if we say, I am too, look. So maybe if we start out our sentences consistently with, it's really important to me to follow the law. That's why I've got this.
Making our
Thank you
best
very
effort
much.
to do
Good
that
point, good
and
point.
comply with the law,
So-
do it right.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. It's very positive to make those statements.
Not
So,
to, sorry.
oh, sorry.
Well, not to mention making this said handbook available to Mike Reese, because I'm sure he and his staff would be obviously interested into what we came up with as a collective.
Maybe we can end up educating the police department. on
Well,
the
yeah,
law
that's
that
just
they're
it.
supposed to
Everybody's
be
got to get on the same
enforcing,
page. The
right?
campers, the
Well, we're not
police.
camping.
Well, I'm sorry, wrong choice of words.
Sleepers,
But
yeah.
people speak. You understand what I'm
Sleep
saying here?
applicants.
The sleepers, the police. Everybody's got to get on the same page, or this is never going to work.
Yeah.
Perhaps we make buttons that say,
Sorry, I don't
"Trust
mean to
me,
check on that, but it's very important not to say campers. We are sleep activists.
Absolutely.
Or whatever you'd like to call it.
Anybody got
agree.
anything
No, I
else
agree.
to say about the handbook at this point?
No, go with it.
Okay.
Just,
So we're starting to touch on discipline out here, which is a big subject, and it's a real bitch. Let's just be honest about it, because I don't want to necessarily be under somebody's discipline, but I understand that sometimes it's not about me, which is along the lines of if we can talk to the officers in such a manner that it makes all of us look good, as opposed to "fuck you, pig," which doesn't make any. It makes all of us look bad if we behave that way.
I've been here for a couple of months, and I've seen nothing but respect come down through here for the officers.
Well, I have seen other
From a
than-
percentage.
Well, I haven't
from a
seen
percentage.
nobody disrespect the cops.
That's nice.
Well,
I
that's
haven't-
good.
I haven't
And
seen
that's,
that.
That's
positive
good.
that you
Okay, we only had
have
one
not.
incident. We had a drunken Russian come through here, and he got dealt with. He left, and he's not been back. Okay, that's the only incident we've had. Everything else,
I would say we're
when the
doing
officers
pretty well
come by,
recently, right, Jimmy?
Let me say this about that, though. The thing is, if we decide that, oh, we've got it under control, we've never been disrespectful to the cops, then what we end up doing is we don't talk about how we're going to talk to the cops out here. And then when somebody comes along and they're acting like an asshole and make the rest of us look bad, we don't have anything to work with, because we all
Yeah, we
haven't
don't.
agreed to anything.
Right.
So if we go ahead and say, hey, we have been respectful, we all see the value of remaining respectful, etc., and we agree moving forward that we're going to maintain that, then we've already established something for it. And when I tell Joe to, hey, ease it down, Joe, you know how the deal is around here. It's not like I'm attacking him. It's like I'm saying, hey, man, you're part of this.
But you get to a point where he needs to be hitting the head. Somebody's got, not goddamn listening, excuse me, cussing. Somebody's got to make that decision and hit him.
Well,
if you got somebody up
there's
here,
got to be another way.
you got somebody up here mauling somebody,
so
they're on top of them and
Okay,
mauling them,
Shantasina.
Do the circle thing.
We
then
did
you
it.
get down them, you knock them down.
Shantasina is something that we've practiced out here before. It's
Okay,
it's one of the most powerful things I've ever been a part of.
It was amazing.
And it works.
That works.
If there, yeah, we should talk about that if there's time.
Okay,
About that
works right
experience,
there.
just that
I
thing.
apologize.
This relates to discipline.
What's it called?
Well, the guy was all over 99.
So all of this that we're talking about relates to discipline and how we are going to behave ourselves because we understand that we're representing something. Our behavior, my behavior out here represents every one of you.
Yep.
And the same goes for you and anybody else that comes along
I'll tune
and is
myself
associated
in.
with us.
Right.
And I don't want anybody who's an asshole representing me.
Right.
Because that's going to drive me away. And if I'm an asshole, it's going to drive you away. So
I'm not an asshole.
So that conversation, Jimmy,
I
want to chime in on that conversation that we have with one another. I think the key of it is that we're not randomly put together. We're here because there's a group of people that changes. Some people come and go, come back, but when we come here, we're here to protest the camping ban. And we're like a group, we're like a action group.
For systemic change.
And so when we're doing an action together, we've planned the action, just like a march. You plan the march. Are you going to get a permit or are you not going to get a permit? So we have decided as a group that our demonstration is going to be appealing to the public and being respectful and having good PR. And so if we see somebody who's doing something, whether it's maybe just detracting from the message, there was a guy who, isn't welcome here. And he used to put up signs that said, I'm here, to protest the end of the 40 ouncer. Okay, and he sat in the middle of us, mixed up our message on purpose. And there's people who spange. It's a no spange zone, but it's also a highly supportive of spanging zone, but we just don't do it right here. So all those things were group decisions, and they have to remain group decisions. And when somebody's outside of that, the technique that we've used is one person, maybe in order to not make it a big deal, if it's not an unsafe situation, goes up to that person and says, hey, this group has decided that we're going to keep our message strictly down to kind of ending the ban and not about, say, bringing back the 40 ouncer. And that person will either say, listen, or kind of say, screw you. If they say screw you, grab your buddy and you come over and you say, yeah, I was just telling the fella or lady that we're doing this. And we got to stay solid at that point. If somebody invokes this group does this, unless they're out of line, we all got to hear that and back them up. No mixed messages at that point. So that was the technique that we used, and it worked really well.
I still disagree somewhat.
About the signs, but not about the...
About the 40 ounces. If we allow room, it's just like standing in a sandwich line. If I don't feel like standing behind this guy and I feel like standing 10 feet back, I expect people to go in front of me, not get behind me.
I don't get that.
And I apologize to you non-violent people. I'm serious. I apologize.
It's a big tent.
Well, it's everybody's, an eye for an eye.
We want support, and we
don't
I
get it.
I apologize.
Yeah, but we don't get our support from the community and improve things if we are badly behaved. I just sat in a courtroom and listened to jurors being picked to express
Right,
this
I
about
agree with that.
Occupy.
But we can't allow people to come out and disrespect us.
Well, if
That's
somebody
why
is
we
physically
have to-
threatening another
there's
person,
nothing you're gonna be able to do about
But
that.
we have to rise above
They're
and
gonna
show
be
them what respect
disrespectful.
is all
You
about.
gotta let them do that. That's their mentality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be
There's
better.
nothing
If
you
I'm
can do
going to
about
be
that.
involved, I got to allow that.
okay, let's go over the Shantasina
I
incident.
apologize.
Don't
So,
apologize.
No, I got to.
I don't think you have to apologize, but we got to tell you something.
Well, I got to apologize.
So, I'm gonna wait till the traffic goes by for a second.
Thank you, 99. You have to be a personal friend of mine.
Well, I think we respect what you're saying. We have discussion now.
Yeah.
So, this is my perception of what's going on, kind of in a bigger picture and in here. None of us wants to be told what the fuck to do. And that's what brings us all out here together. That's the one common thing in this whole group. None of us wants to be told what the fuck to do. So, since I don't want to be told what to do, and you don't want to be told what to do,
Can you be
we
asked?
yes,
Can you
we
be
can be
asked to do it?
asked, and maybe we can even go one step back from that and establish some sort of understanding that's already in place before we have to ask somebody. And the understanding is that, hey, we're not here to fight and bicker amongst each other and make each other look bad. We're here to make them look bad.
Oh, lead by example.
Exactly.
I get it. Makes perfect sense.
We want to make them look bad.
Sure.
Now, we just have to understand that our behavior out here is what makes them look bad. If we're acting like idiots, they don't look that bad. It's just that simple. Now, when somebody's out here acting a fool, we have to deal with that in a way that respects that person as a person. Because if I start going off out here and you all start disrespecting me while I'm going off, you're just gonna make it worse. We all understand that. We all can feel, yep, that's exactly. So, first off, we have to just grasp the fact that we're out here, we're performing actions. Actions are behaviors. Behaviors are what illustrate things. If we're out here acting like decent human beings and we're sleeping on the sidewalk, that makes it harder for somebody walking by to just dismiss us. That makes it harder for somebody walking by to go, yeah, these guys have got it all figured out. They can handle it. That's the whole
point. It makes it real
of
hard
this.
to allow someone to come by and disrespect us. We're doing what we're doing and believe in what we do, and have somebody come up here and disrespect somebody. That is tough to allow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
To allow it.
But we're gonna have to.
But we're
gonna have to understand and recognize in each other. Every time I've been out here and somebody's acting like an idiot.
I hear saying.
So,
Every time somebody's been out here acting like an idiot, I have gotten somewhere with them because I recognize that they share something with me, which is they don't want to be told what to do.
Right. I can't.
they can be
I don't know how
asked what to
recognize
do.
that.
So now we need another pamphlet on how to address those issues. How do we walk up to that person and open a conversation?
Oh, we had those.
Just
That's
say no
gonna-
violence, take it to Mary or
We had
99.
those.
That's how we do it. Just
Well,
go to 99 or Mary.
Welcome
This is a
packet. We had
problem.
that.
That
I haven't run off
technique
anymore.
is useful if 99 and Mary's around. But
Yeah.
I
Well, we
advocate,
agree
I
to it.
advocate
I don't
for a
agree to
larger
it.
technique.
Can't bring it to me.
Right,
Yeah.
and
I'm
I'm
not the
advocating.
police.
I'm advocating for a
What time is
larger technique, which is we're all dealing with it. If somebody's out here acting like an idiot, we are all responsible for that.
Right.
Case in point last night with the two that we had over there that were making sexual advances towards people, they were asked to leave. They were made the comment, they don't have to. So we all band together and told them those actions aren't allowed.
Community
They bring unwanted attention. It's going to bring bad media leave. These individuals are now in Hillsborough. I understand. They're
Nice.
gone. There was a guy yesterday who got drunk, smashed a bottle right in the middle of the street.
Oh, that was
I chased
bad,
him down
dude.
he was on a bike. I chased him down.
Wasn't you.
We caught him. And we had a Marine there. This individual who used to be in the military. That Marine got up in his face and drilled him like a sergeant. Told him, you are unwanted in this park. You are unwanted at this protest. Those actions are unwanted. And that's what we have to do. We have to stand together. Because if we try to stand alone, we will be taken down. One person cannot do anything. If
Can
we
I say
stand
something?
together, we can make
My
a change.
hands are all dirty because I'm on a wheelchair. I'm just not a dirty person, okay? I feel guilty about this.
Don't. I understand.
Well, I'm looking at my hands.
Oh, you're talking about
You gotta
Twinkle.
get you
Oh,
gloves.
look at my hands.
Don't worry about it.
Go get your
Because
gloves.
I got the wheelchair
We're
home.
looking you in your eye.
Folks,
Mom.
hey, the
We're
folks.
looking you in the
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah,
There's special
yeah,
gloves
Your
for
eyes ain't dirty.
wheelchairs.
Oh, wait, let me see your hands again.
I'm pure of heart. Hey, I'm pure of heart, believe me.
I just want to say one thing in comment. I'm sorry, brother. What's your name?
Draco.
Draco. Yeah. It's good to see
Draco,
you.
it's nice to meet you.
Jimmy. I just want to say one thing in response to what you're saying, and this is from this history and experience. The behaviors are what is not wanted here.
The people are well wanted.
Yes.
It's the actions that they're doing. Now, if this individual, the one that smashed the bottle, if he wants to come back, as long as he's sober and can conduct himself cordially, no problem.
Right.
It's when you get out of line and you can't control yourself and you start doing stupid things. That's what's unwanted. That's what has to be removed. And that's what will be removed.
And there is a big difference in the overall effect that you have. Can I yell at you for a second? So let's say I'm yelling at Lightning. There's two things I can say to him. I can say, Lightning, you gotta get the fuck out of here. Or I can say, Lightning, you gotta knock that shit off. One of them, I'm talking about Lightning. And one of them, I'm talking about what he's doing.
He's guilty.
You can tell by the look on his
And I smile back.
But the point is,
Greatest move
but the point
sometimes,
is,
yeah.
if you're yelling at me that I'm not wanted here, I'm going to hear you say that I'm not wanted here. But if you're yelling at me that my behavior is not wanted here, there's a chance that I might hear you saying I'm wanted here, but my behavior is not wanted.
But we
So
don't,
this is tricky, and it's hard to do in the moment, but it matters.
we don't feel that yelling is gonna escalate the situation. Do we have to yell?
I was just using that as an example.
Actually,
Can we walk up to the person and say, hey, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Pull you aside and walk around the corner. Here, let's go have a beer. This is what we have here.
Yes,
And,
totally.
and we talk about it. And if that person understands, then okay, maybe the behavior is corrected. And then I disagree with the fact that getting everybody to gang up on the one person will escalate the situation also.
It all has to do with the situation and the context. But if we all understand as a group that there's a certain thing that we're shooting for at least, if that's the base, we're all shooting for a certain type of behavior out here, that's a good start. That is the group, but it's not the group all jumping on somebody and getting in their face. Sometimes it has to come. Sometimes it does have to be the whole group in somebody's face.
Hallelujah.
Sometimes there's been people out here being violent, William Booth, hurting people.
Well, something had to have happened. The whole thing about
Yeah.
people with their actions. I don't know about you, man, but I was born here in Portland in 1969. I remember growing up in the 70s in downtown Portland, coming to the Rose Festival, the parades and all that. There was never none of this sit lie, none of this sidewalk. Something had to have happened that forced the local yokels in City Hall to come up with these bans or restrictions. In other words, the people that caused this mess, weren't willing to take it as it comes. Excuse me, sir, can you move aside so we can get by? Sure, not a problem. We took it as it comes. Why? Because it was not that serious. Other people who think inward with their addiction or who they are or whatever their problem is in their life at that time has caused it and has ruined it for all the rest of us. Now, obviously, here we are trying to make systemic change on a reasonable level that society will be comfortable with, and obviously that won't bet the police all how to handle out of shape. You know what I mean?
But homeless families rose 30% just last year.
Yeah.
So I would say
feel
that
that.
the cause is probably the fact that we have 2,500 people outside on the streets
And they
when
don't
the
have
shelters are
control,
full,
yeah.
and we didn't have that necessarily before to this extent. So now we've got problems.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I just want to bring out the time issue that we're going to spokes, and we still have one more item to get through, and it's quick. If we're getting close to being done with that, I gotta go.
So,
And my
This,
battery's low.
let me ask, the
Can we
booklet,
please?
should we include this Fantasia, whatever, I don't know that term.
I think the booklet will be a work in progress always. And
Okay,
anything
so
that we
we're
can
gonna
add in
include
there.
ways that people can deal.
I mean, I would throw it in the original, but you know, it'll get revised
Okay.
and added to as necessary.
And we're gonna look for you to help us.
You are, huh?
Well, you're pretty goddamn sharp.
Oh, yeah.
You two, both of you to help us put this book together. You
Me?
volunteered.
Yes,
I've already
You
got a
brought
ton
the
of
word up
stuff
now.
I gotta
You
develop
volunteered
a
now.
website
You,
this weekend. and I don't know.
girl, you and
No,
your
Colonel
own,
and Jack.
we're
Yeah.
gonna need your help.
upset now. Hey.
So,
Stressed
just
out
briefly
already.
to recap,
Believe
we
me.
all understand the value of, I want to come up with a better word, but I'm going to say discipline for now. We all understand the value of at least being on the same page and
Absolutely.
accepting, yes, there's something bigger than me going on here, and I can be part of it, and I can support it through the way I act, and tangentially, which we can skip this if you want to, but we can support it in the way our signs sort of center around one issue, homelessness versus the lack of the 40 ounce.
Sure.
You know, this is all,
He's basically
And
talking
and
about
some of that we're still having discussions
lightning.
one-on-one.
Yes, sir.
He's
It's
talking
still
about
an
you.
open topic.
And sharing
Talking
with
about
everybody else. Sharing
Jimmy's
what
a scientist.
you learn here
Jimmy's
with
a smart
everybody.
person.
And he's
I'm,
talking
Right.
about you and the science.
But I'm respecting Joe with the dissenting view
Yeah.
that we will continue to have this conversation. It's not, there's no rule coming out of this.
there's no
just,
rules here.
There's
only
some shared
Exactly.
consciousness taking place with not 100%. So
We're negotiating,
We're negotiating.
constantly what's going on, but we understand that there is the value
Right.
in certain things.
Right.
Anybody got anything else that's burning they need to say about
Because
this
spokes
issue?
is coming up, so we
this
got to
guy?
move.
'Cause we got one
Hallelujah.
more thing we want to talk about.
Really like this. When I showed up to 11 and pulled up a section that had the sidewalk. Woke up a couple hours later and my son was saying, hey, you got
No, not claim oversight.
Okay.
Okay.
So needs.
We got 4 sides to this building.
Let's talk
We
about
got 4
that.
sides to this building.
We're going to be back after spokes, a lot of us, and some people aren't leaving, so we can have some.
We got
Yeah,
coffee.
so
We got
our
coffee and
next-
donuts.
Everybody's
We got coffee.
Yeah.
We.
Well, what does
But
that mean?
If somebody's in your spot when you come up, you should have got to your spot earlier.
Yes.
So
It's like first come, first serve.
This idea that we're talking about here really is a good segue into the 24/7 basics going on out here, because one of the 24/7 basics going on out here, we were talking about this a little earlier, you know, if somebody asks you to watch their stuff and you watch it and you agree to watch it, you've agreed to watch it. But if somebody asks you to watch their stuff, you don't need to feel obligated to
Yes,
watch
you
their
do.
stuff. No, you do not need to feel
When
obligated
you
to say
agree
yes.
to watch their
No,
stuff, you watch
Ma,
it.
Ma,
but you should
he's
be
agreeing with you.
obligated
He
to
said,
watch.
don't
If I walk up and I say, will
agree.
you watch my stuff, and you say no, that's fine.
Okay, if I say yes,
That's
hell or
different.
high water, jail or hospital.
That's different.
It's the only reason that your stuff be gone.
But if you
It
want to
just-
say no,
Right.
you can definitely say no.
And just
Well,
to
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not
And just to
obligated.
add something
Yeah,
to that,
exactly.
if somebody does ask, and you set a time frame to come back and
Yes.
get your stuff,
Come back and get it.
stand by that time
I am
frame.
not embarrassed to get up and drop
You
my
know,
drawers.
right.
Womp,
You
now
know
what?
I'm saying?
Okay.
About 5 hours later.
I've seen
Our-
you do that before.
That's not what I meant when I said watch your stuff.
Wake them up. Wake them up.
So they brought it to my
He backed
attention
my shit.
that they knew how many bags I carried. They also brought it to my attention that when I have a habit of saying all of this shit is mine.
Yeah.
Right.
So the officer brought it to my attention. Well, just from the other day, I noticed you've accumulated a lot of bags. So I brought
In
it
the
to
trees,
his
look at the
attention.
trees.
Come on, guys, give me a break. There is a lot of people out here. You know all these bags aren't mine, but they're not in anybody's way. So,
And that goes back to that law.
24/7.
They're
when
misapplying it.
when you take it upon yourself to claim somebody else's things, know that the officer might know what bag is yours and what bags
Right.
aren't yours.
Right.
So 24/7. If you leave something out here, if you bring something out here and it gets stolen, guess whose fault that really is?
Yours.
It's yours. That's just the way it is. Anything else is irrational. If you leave your stuff here and it gets taken by somebody or by a cop even, can you blame it on anybody other than that cop?
If you leave your stuff in somebody's care and they get beat up by the cops, you better take them to McDonald's next morning and buy them breakfast.
So this is
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Well,
this is
yeah,
20
you know.
this is 24/7 stuff that we're talking about here.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
I'm just teasing.
constantly accepting what's going on out here. Now, that's 24/7 philosophy. Mary wants to talk about some 24/7 tactical and logistical shit.
She's our leader.
I'm not a leader.
You are our leader.
Let's hear what you got to say.
Sweetie,
Mary
don't
is our
say
leader.
that. You're painting a target on me.
Yeah.
24/7.
the leader.
Hey, we'll jump in front of you, girl.
I love you. Okay.
Believe that.
All right.
We'll be the target in front of
Okay.
you, girl.
So here are the basics that we have to always
Believe that.
maintain. We have to maintain the ability to document with video. We have to maintain having a lit candle, beautiful vigil. You're
We're
gonna
not
interrupt my
guaranteed out
flow.
Are we guaranteed out here, girl?
Okay. What?
Are we allowed? Are we guaranteed here?
Guaranteed what?
Can I sleep here? Not having to ask me. They haven't.
That's back to
No, they haven't.
item 1.
They haven't.
And I think that
No,
we
no,
should
they haven't had it out here yet.
we should review item 1 later tonight again about the sidewalk use law and how to stand up to police
Yeah.
and how to be courteous. We're going to have to go through that over and over and over, especially as we get clarification probably every meeting about what we say to police and where we stand our ground and where we kind of make negotiation, give and take. There's some places where we don't want to give away the farm.
Well, can't
So
we
let's
work with
get
police
to
on
that.
this and perhaps have the police come down with the executive order?
I don't believe so. I
okay.
think
I
strategically
believe
you
we
don't
can
have the
because-
right for the group to be going off in that direction. I ask you not to. But we should talk about that.
Big that girl right there got her hand up.
This is just a real short thing that I just came through my head. It's like using acronyms. If you could think of something that goes through your head real fast, like
Good
when
point.
you use HALT,
Speak up.
hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If you can do that to get your message to cue you in to think of that immediately when you get into a situation. So
Yeah.
you don't have to go, oh, this and that. You've got a little acronym.
Good idea.
Okay.
So
But
let me
as
go
far
through
as-
the other two.
As far as keeping this vigil operating,
Okay. So the video stuff, we're getting more material to make that possible. It's going on. Not just documenting, but live stream, Ustream as well. Our signs, we're working together to get signs consistent. Beautiful signs out here all the time. That's really necessary. We are keeping those candles lit. I don't know if you've noticed, but when there's dead flowers and material like literature and the candles are lit, it looks beautiful. When the candles are out, it looks terrible. So we got to keep the candles lit. We're working on keeping the oil and keeping the
99's
candles.
got them candles lit all the time.
Yeah, so we're doing really well on these things. And I guess the other item I'd like to put out there is like, well, there's also the appearance stuff. If we need trash cans because we don't have one, we got to get one and all that stuff. Lastly is basic human needs being met by ourselves and sharing and helping each other. If we know people don't have food or haven't gotten sleep, something's going on, we've got to, first of all, be responsible to tell each other when you've got problems like that and let people in to help. but every one of us is a resource, and we are the people we can't lose. It more important than the arguments and the wins and loses over personal decisions and all that is whether a person has a hassle that makes them not want to come back. And so whatever is going on, and we have to allow that person to have what they need to come back. So let's remind each other on a daily basis that we're the most valuable resource that this protest has. And that includes speaking up when we have needs and speaking to each other when we're seeing those and helping one another. And that's it. I think that's the only 4 I know.
No, there's one other thing.
One other.
Having a handsome guy like me laying on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Oh my
The girls
God.
come by and say,
How could I
"Hey."
forget? How could I forget our sleep? Our sleep.
I gotta beat them girls down if I don't have a beer.
Jimmy, you said that Colonel Michael Rose said we got to do the platform like I'm going to do tonight. We got to do that. Can you tell us real quick before the meeting's over about what he said?
So the lawyer that helped Colonel win his case was just commenting to me today that now is the time to start to push this structure issue. It's time to start sleeping on pallets. We're not thinking about it now because it isn't cold and wet. But we need to get this issue settled now so that when it does get cold and wet, the pallets or whatever the hell you want to call them, sleeping whatever they are, it's a done deal. So that was just his advice to us.